there's been a lot of, chest beating of how dominant Australia are going to be. We're just going to come over. England hasn't won in 15 years over here or something along those lines. We're going to pound them when they get over here. Are we getting less confident as we get closer with all these things going on, or how are we feeling?
Yes. Are we getting less confident without two of the best fast bowlers in history being in the team? I think that's very, very fair to say. The Australian batting order is itself fairly concerning. Like, England's bringing out two express pace bowlers in Jofra Archer and Mark Wood. Obviously, two guys who can definitely intimidate you on the pitch, and if you're rolling out spicy decks, then that's it's going to work for them as well as it works for us. Australia has big question marks at the top of the order. It looks like they're probably. I think they're going to pick Jake Weatherald to open. He's been included in the 15-man squad. But
how old is he?
Jake Weatherald is more of a veteran rather than like a. He's not a Sam Costas, but I think he's late 20s.
Okay, so late 20s. Because I was going to say, like
28, 29. 31.
The big knock on Australia is like, why aren't you developing enough young guys to open for us? And then we're going towards an older, more experienced guy.
We did try with Constas, and it worked for one innings.
Isn't that like one extreme to the other? Like, okay, let's get the 19-year-old, the 20-year-old. Like, surely there's like a 23 or 24-year-old that we can bring in, or 25 even,
Well, the other guy who was firmly in contention was Matt Renshaw, who was also, not getting on, but he's kind of closer to 30 than he is to the teenagers. There probably is a concern a little bit. Like, basically, what we've seen in Shield cricket over the past 5, even 10 years is a shift towards more bowler-friendly wickets, which is the opposite of what we've seen in England. So we've got a lot of guys, like a lot of young fast bowlers who are putting up crazy numbers, whereas it's getting harder and harder for young batsmen to score big hundreds, get those 1,000-run Shield seasons.
Is that a game-based problem where they're trying to make it more exciting, more wickets, more highlights, or is it just that's natural progression of the game?
I think it's just Australian wickets, right? Like, it's kind of how we base our cricketers around wickets that offer bowlers a bit of something. You don't want 4-day draws in Shield cricket. I don't watch 4-day draws in Shield cricket.
It'll require a whole standalone episode, Kempy, but I generally think since the introduction of T20 cricket and since it became big, batsmen have lost their temperament, their ability to leave a ball and grind an innings. Again, it's a far bigger debate, but I honestly think that has led to, inferior batsmen than what we saw 15, 20 years ago.
Okay. And so it's going to eventually catch up to us. So I'm assuming we can't just keep going, let's get a 31-year-old because we want to win this test now. We've got to make the painful call eventually, don't we?
There's a couple of young batsmen in Victoria who show a lot of promise, and they're the kind of guys you need to invest in, and you want to give them 3 or 4 seasons of Shield cricket to kind of get them battle hardened for the bigger things to come. I generally don't think that an Ashes series, even an Ashes series at home, I don't think that's the right time to throw a young kid into that sort of furnace. Like,
you agree with the Constas call last year, even though he was incredible?
Probably not. I mean, actually, at the time I did, because everything was so exciting about him, and the way he
broke momentum to a degree.
The way he took on Bumrah was series defining. Like, if he doesn't do that, Australia might well lose that series to India. But if you look at the subsequent 12 months, don't think it's been good for his development. I think he's a little bit muddled in how his his approach is to the game. I think Timmy's right. A bit of T20 cricket. Obviously, he went back after that and played in the Big Bash, which was great. And he's a really exciting batsman, but I think he's a little bit muddled in what he wants to be.
Who he is as well.
Because growing up, he wasn't a guy who was doing ramp shots. He wasn't this super flashy guy. He was like a really kind of well-structured, kind of composed batsman. And now you look at him and it's just like, you're kind of a little bit here and there.
What's his identity as a batsman to a degree? Like, you've got your grindy footy player that's trying to throw offloads at the moment to a degree because it worked a couple of times.
100%. And I mean, he's only 19. Like, he's got a long way to go before anyone's going to start writing him off. But I think he's the sort of guy who definitely needs 1-2 solid summers with New South Wales just to find his game, if that makes sense. And I kind of think the same thing happened with Marnus. So Marnus was the best batsman in the world, and then made a point of wanting to get into the Australian one-day team to win a World Cup. And in order to do that, he had to kind of switch off and go, balls that I would normally leave outside the off stump, I have to play out because I need to find scoring, even if it's finding a single, I need to get off strike. I can't leave 4 or 5 balls in a row.
Okay.
And I reckon that's been a kind of a big part in him kind of nosediving over the past 18 months. But then you look at him this summer, I think he's found himself again. I think he's back batting at number 3 for Queensland. Obviously, Australia tried him out at opener, which I don't think he liked. And I think when he's comfortable batting number 3, put him at number 3. He scored runs for Queensland. He's by far the most informed batsman in Australia this summer. That's why I think you can't mess him around too much. Put him at number 3. Put Weatherald at opener.
And Webster.
Which moves Cam Green to 6. Cam Green obviously scored big runs last week, so I don't think...
Is he another guy that got brought in too early, do you think, Cam Green? Because he came in as the wonder kid, dipped... I know his injuries and that.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's been quite good for Australia. I might be on an island there, but he's produced some big innings. Hasn't really done it in Australia, which I know is important, like for Australian cricket fans to actually see you do it on Australian shores. But he scored big runs in New Zealand, like crucial centuries on that front. He's scoring runs for Western Australia. Was he brought in too early? Possibly, but if you're good enough, you're old enough. That sort of thing. Yep. I think he's still young. He's probably a future captaincy prospect. He's the sort of guy that you want to have in that setup for 10, 15 years.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wow.
But then the injuries have been problematic, but as they are with a lot of Australian cricketers.
How confident are you in Weatherald, like getting picked? Or is that what you would do, or what you think will happen?
That's what I think will happen. I like that they're going with a specialist. I like that they're going with a specialist opener. I feel like that, if it didn't work with Steve Smith, who is Australia's second or third greatest batsman of all time, if it didn't work with him, it's not going to work with anybody. You can't just fashion an opener out of anybody. And I think it's a very, very important role to play. Like killing that ball for 10 overs, getting the juice out of the deck a little bit. I really think picking a specialist opener is the right way to go.
Sorry, for people that are a bit less familiar with cricket, essentially as an opener, because everything is fresh, the ball is fresh, the deck is fresh, it's that you need, I'm assuming, a more defensive batsman that can kind of get through those first few overs to take the sting out of the game?
It can be the worst. Like, it's probably the worst time to bat against a new ball, which when you've got the 2 shiny sides, you can get more movement through the air. Obviously, when one of the sides dulls, you can get swing as well, but definitely off the deck, it's just the most dangerous time. Like, the bowlers are fresh. So while, Australia had great success with, say, David Warner, who was a really aggressive batsman, I think the role of somebody like Usman Khawaja, who's like, I will face 60 balls before I really do anything. But you put miles in the legs of your opposition. You dull the ball a little bit. After 20 overs, things tend to die down, become a little bit easy to bat. That's why, one of the reasons why Steve Smith will bat at 4, because you want your best batsman to be in the best batting conditions for a test.
Makes sense.
I think Weatherald is more in the David Warner mould than he is Usman Khawaja, but I think he's kind of a little bit in the middle. So he'll like to push the tempo a little bit. But, I definitely think having a specialist there is crucial for this summer. I think that's why they're going to do it, and I think it's why they're going to lose Beau Webster, which is
Slug.
Crazy, because he's been seriously good in Test cricket this summer.
Isn't he a bit of an... Oh, no, Slug's not an all-rounder, is he?
He is
an all-rounder.
So he's been taking wickets as well. I think like that. If Hazelwood had pushed through and not succumbed to this hamstring injury and played in the first Test, I think you could have made a really good case for Beau Webster to be in the team, because he took wickets for Tassie last week. He's a very good bowler. There are question marks around Cam Green's fitness and whether he can bowl more than, say, 10 overs in an innings. But without Hazelwood, I don't think they're going to go with 2 all-rounders. And I think if they're just picking 1 all-rounder, Cam Green's the golden boy.
Okay.
That's who
I'd be opening Marnus, and I'd be picking Beau Webster. I think you're right in that the Hazelwood injury and like new quicks come in probably works against it, because like, all right, we don't have as many injury concerns without quicks, but like it's all, I see what you mean, like having a specialist opener. It's all good and well bringing in a specialist opener, but that specialist opener could come in and average 15. You've still got to score runs, whereas you can have a more proven Beau Webster in there. We can get overs out of him. He's a bloody good bat. I know I'm not trying to concede the opening spot, but like Marnus has been phenomenal this summer. I'd be going that.
In your team, you've got two blokes batting out of position, basically. You've got Marnus, who doesn't want to open, and you've got Canberra, who's better at 6.
Weatherald's been okay. He's had a lot of opportunities. He could come in and do a great job, but he's not sitting there banging out tons in Shield and going, you have to pick me. It's like, oh, we need a specialist opener. He's the best of a bad lot. And I hope he comes in and kills it, but if he comes in and averages 15 or 20, it's like, well, why not have another all-rounder who's proven run scorer in Australia last summer? He can bowl. I'm just unfortunately not that confident in Weatherald coming in and doing a job. I bloody hope I'm wrong, but...
Now, just before we wrap her up, what do we want to see from Marnus this summer? Do we want to see... Because my understanding, he can be quite a defensive batter that can just play out overs. Like, what do we want to see from him?
I want to see 2011 Alistair Cook. I want him to bat for a day and a half each time.
Yep.
Score big hundreds. Like your number 3 batsman has to be kind of like a guy who sets the trend for the whole lineup. Steve Smith's also in exceptional form and is, we don't need to wax lyrical about Steve Smith. He's the GOAT, but you need, Australia's going to need a lot of runs from Marnus, which he hasn't done for Australia for some time. Like he was out of form.
One innings last year that was pretty good, but outside of that, I think he's been pretty poor.
He's. I mean, there's a reason why he's been dropped, but I like the look of. It feels like he's tightened his technique a little bit up this summer. He's scoring runs in one-day cricket, first class, Shield cricket. I think Australia needs him to really set the tone. We know what we're going to get from Steve Smith, but I don't think Australia can win the Ashes with just one batsman. They might be able to. Steve Smith is extremely good, but I think they need one of Usman, Marnus, Travis Head. They need one of those guys to have a very good summer. Travis Head's probably the most likely. I think Usman's probably the least likely out of those 4. But in the form he's in, I think Marnus is a guy who Australia can count on, which is why I wouldn't move him from number 3. But I can see your vision, Timmy.
These are his scores, Kempy. Marnus this summer. It's been like a genuine shootout. It still is for those top order spots. These are his games for Queensland this season between first class cricket and 50 over cricket. 50, 11, 101, 4, 159, 18, 105, 160, 2, 130.
Wow.
Firing.
Does that sound like he's being really aggressive though? Because it's usually 4 or 100. It's not a lot of middle scores.
I don't think he's being he's not being overly aggressive in Shield cricket. He's scoring at a good clip.
Okay.
But
because obviously that sounds incredible. I was just looking at the difference, you know what I mean? It's not but maybe that's normal. I don't know.
Yeah, are they all Shield scores or are they some of those?
One day as well.
Yeah, one days as well.
Yeah.
So it's not unusual for him to get the odd good ball in one day cricket.
Yeah. Okay.
But typically, he styles himself off Steve Smith, which is absorb pressure for 50 balls, and then the runs will come, and that's fine. But he can, Marnus can definitely is a player who can score quickly. He's got all the shots, great through the covers, and ultra fit. So he's quick between the wickets. I don't think you don't sit there and get too concerned if he's 2 off 25. Same with Steve Smith, because the runs will come. Steve Smith was against Victoria. He was a 1 off 49 or something like that, and then went bang bang and hit consecutive boundaries and ended up on 90 odd. So runs will come.
Okay.